Hey everyone, this is Know Your Potential, NYP episode 5, and we'll be chatting about COVID-19, its effect on businesses, the economy, and how we're going to live in the post-pandemic future.
You're listening to Know Your Potential with David and Phil Ngo, your source for motivational insight and discussion of all things relating to business, technology, and life. We banter and interview like-minded individuals, striving to be the best version of themselves, generate value for society, and achieve the life they want to live.
Hey everyone, it's Phil Ngo here.
Hey everyone, this is David Ngo here.
Hey, and welcome to our 5th episode.
This is going to be a fun episode. At least the way we're going to start off, giving away money or Bitcoin in this sense, at least, right?
Which is money, technically.
Value. Let's call it value.
Yes, we're just giving it to you in a different form. So we have our list here of all the entries. So thank you everyone for sharing our story and for tagging your friends into our Instagram, and hopefully they're listening to the podcast as well. We have a bunch of entries. I think we're somewhere at around like 196 entries.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I think what we're going to do here is I'm going to share my screen so that for the people watching this on YouTube, you can see what we're doing here. So we have a Excel sheet with all of the people and their entries. And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to assign a random number to help actually scramble the rows. So everybody kind of gets like, a different ticket number, basically. So the nerd in me is basically assigning a bunch of these numbers to everybody's entries. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use a random number between called random.org, which will actually allow us to randomly select a number between 1 and 196. And that's how we're going to find our winner, Dave.
All right, let's do that. So first, you're going to have to sort this list, give
Yes.
everybody their ticket number. So I think there's I would say about good 5-6 people that have really good chances in here, meaning some of these people have a good maybe 20 plus entries. There's a whole bunch of people with a few, 1, 2, 3, but I'm quite curious to see how this is going to turn out. Again, this is completely random. We're not choosing who's going to win. It doesn't really matter to us who wins. Again, this is going to be one lucky winner though.
Right. Maybe what I should have done, Dave, was I should have figured out how to sort this properly.
Yeah, right there, data, sort.
Data, sort, is it
Sheet
sort
by,
by
yeah.
Sort range?
Or sort range, go down just a little bit.
Oop. Data, sort range. Does that look right?
No, it's okay. As long as it's all randomized to me anyways, right? As long as it's all randomized, it's good enough for me.
All right. Okay, so we've randomized it a little bit here. And what we're going to do is now we're going to put in 196 into the random generator, and we're going to find our winner. Here we go. Drum roll.
Who is number
31.
Let's see who number 31 is.
31 we have. Oh my gosh. It's Katerina.
All right.
Adrianakos.
No way. So because again, for all the people who don't know, Kat Adrianakos is my wife. So she is going to be disqualified. Let's say we're going to pass this on to another random person. All right, Phil, let's random generate it again. Baby, sorry, you're not getting this $100 Bitcoin. It's going to somebody else today. I love you.
All right, here we go. Generate
number 11.
So we got number 11. Curly-haired Fabio.
Curly-haired Fabio. Congratulations, curly-haired Fabio. You have just won $100 worth of Bitcoin.
Awesome.
We'll be contacting you today.
And we'll get you set up with a wallet if you don't know how to, and we'll take it from there.
Congratulations, buddy. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you and everyone else for partaking in this little raffle, this giveaway contest. It was pretty cool. We had a lot of interaction, a lot of people tagging and sharing. So again, thank you all very much for participating. It was very fun for both of us, for all of us, I hope.
Amazing. Hopefully that helps, change your life a little bit with $100. Go and buy some groceries or something. Because, obviously with this whole pandemic going around, any sort of money will be useful in people's pockets, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. And especially right now, I mean, with the way things are going and things are changing, I think Bitcoin will be seeing more of in the future. Again, we're just trying to figure out how to live this whole new normal, right? I know I've heard a few times people saying, I'm going to kick the person's ass, the next person who says this is the new normal, but fuck, it really is kind of the new normal right now, even though I don't want it to be, but it's kind of there right now, right, Phil?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like when you think about it, Dave, when was the last time your life has been dramatically altered in some way in like the way you behave, the way that you interact with people? It like for me, it would be 9/11, where
Yeah,
like we're not allowed to, go into the airport without security and stuff like that.
yeah, for sure. 9/11 was probably one of the biggest things that's, I guess, affected or happened during my lifetime, where again, just traveling was different. The all the information that was on the news is all different. The way we looked at people were different. The way we acted around people was very different. So 9/11 was the last time it was such a big dramatic thing. I think this though is much, much, much bigger than that in the sense that 9/11 kind of just affected the US in a way, though again, of course, it affected the whole world. But with COVID, it's pretty much everybody is a victim of COVID around the world. Doesn't matter what race you are, which country you're from. Everybody is affected by COVID right now.
Yeah, and I think the important thing to realize is that COVID has touched upon our lives in so many different ways, right? Like the way we work, the way we talk to people, the way like we can't even go out and interact with people. We have to do things through Zoom now, and that's a huge change that affects everybody.
So again, pretty much you don't have there's a lot less people going to the offices now, right? At least in Montreal, we are in a lockdown right now. So only the essential stores are open, offices, and pretty much anything non-essential, people are supposed to be working from home. So there's a lot of people, again, just having to get used to working from home and in a completely different environment. So it's very different from being in a big office where you have 20, 30, 50 people where you're just interacting with each other daily. Now people are home alone. Those are the people who are home alone. There are some people that are home with their spouses or some with their kids right now, pretty much trying to work a 9 to 5 and having your kids at home with you the whole day is completely different from
Right.
what it's ever been.
Yeah. Yeah. It just makes you wonder, like, how does that actually affect our lives and the economy and all different sectors of the economy going to the future? Because when you think about it, how many business owners out there is really going to keep an office for their employees now, knowing that work from home is a thing that actually works for some companies? How does that affect and trickle down to, commercial real estate? We're going to have all these like empty office towers or like with much more vacancy. So going into this new normal, I guess you'd say, for lack of a better word there, Dave, honestly, like I don't personally see us going back to a world that that really resembled or pre-COVID.
No, again, for anybody that thinks we're ever going to be able to go back to a world that was pre-COVID, again, I'm a very optimistic person. I'm a, glass is always half full type of guy, but I really don't see that happening, just because as much as some, or let's say most people wanted to go back to normal, it's just the way we work, the way we interact. A lot of people are more conscious about how to be close to people or being more hygienic as well. So all these things again has effects in long term, and no, it's never going to be the same again. At least that's how I see it. I know I think we've all changed a little bit because of this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like when you think about how that sort of trickles down the economy, because I think from an investor mindset, in the sense that, how are malls going to look like after this? Where are the retailers going to go? Are we going to be doing everything online? What happens to malls? And like what happens to all that space, the commercial real estate that people were used to?
Yeah, it's a very good question, because right now, I mean, recently I had to go to the mall to go fix something with my Apple phone, and I went into the mall, and the Apple store was actually the few stores that are open, because they're I guess like for telephone companies, they're essentials. But I went to the mall, and pretty much every single shop in there was closed right now, except for those ones. So again, it just makes me think. And again, as I've gone to downtown or a few different places, I've seen all these for rent signs everywhere. And it's one of those questions of at what point, where, and when are people going to take the leap of faith to jump into this again and say, hey, I'm willing to pay this crazy astronomical price to rent this location here, without knowing if people are going to be coming by anytime soon.
Right,
So
right.
a lot more vacancies everywhere. So that's a big question as to what happens to real estate and commercial real estate. What happened to malls? Malls is the biggest question right now, right?
Yeah, like I mean, I kind of look at it as a lesson where I think the saying is kind of like never say never, because what I used to think was um last time I bought a piece of real estate was actually in downtown Toronto, and I actually made it a thing to say, "Hey, your stuff in downtown Toronto is like a pretty safe bet, because at the end of the day, people will always want to live there." And just seeing like something like this happen, where there really is no point of having to live in a big city because there's nothing happening. There's no nightlife. There's restaurants are shutting down, and it's also like, why would I pay $3,000 for like a 2-bedroom place in Toronto when I can go out and actually live in a more reasonable place with more space? So it really has flipped a lot of these things that we used to think of as safe or good bets, and really turned it upside down to sort of say, hey, like you can be exposed, even if you thought that by buying real estate in the city was a good idea.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's what it is. So I have friends that are in real estate, and they're telling me right now vacancies in the downtown area are really high, right? Because back then, pre-COVID, when you're living in a 300 square foot place, cool, no problem. I'm just here to sleep, and most of the time I'm out and about. But right now, because we're in lockdown, meaning again, we have curfew, we have to be home by 8 o'clock, and you can't leave. I think it's 5 a.m. it is right now. People don't want to be stuck and cramped up in a little 200, 300 square feet place. And the funny thing with that is that the prices of suburban homes have skyrocketed, but even more so are chalets and cottages. So what I've noticed, the pricing for some of these chalets and cottages in the past 6 months has gone up by 20, 30%. And people just want to get out of the city because, again, it's nice to have a big place outside. Whereas, again, pre-COVID, it was cool to be downtown. Now no one wants to be in such confined places.
Yeah, especially like how many people out there actually think that a 5-day physical work week is actually going to be a thing still for most of these like service-based businesses. I don't see necessarily many businesses even needing to have an office anymore. So looking at something like that, it just makes you wonder, okay, when is the city ever going to be recovered in that sense?
I don't know if it's going to be a recovered or if it's going to be one of those moving forward. This is how the new norm of doing business or working is going to be. So, for example, I have a friend also. She's been working from home now because of COVID, of course. And pretty much they said that once they are opening their offices again, they're probably going to be doing like a 3 days at the office, 2 days at home type of schedule now. So a lot of people I know prior to COVID, they wanted to be able to work from home. But again, a lot of the bosses said, no, it doesn't make any sense. You have to be at the office. This is how it's always been done, and you need to be here. So since COVID now, I think a lot of these employees have a much louder voice where they can say, listen, I've been able to work from home, or we've all been working from home since the beginning of the pandemic. And now that, the office is back open again, there's no reason why I should not be allowed to work from home again. So that's kind of interesting for a lot of these people as well.
Right, exactly. Because when you start looking at these trends as to like what has been doing well during the pandemic and what hasn't, I mean, a lot of the stuff that hasn't been doing well requires some sort of physical presence. So things like retail, right? Any kind of department store in malls, like I think it was J. Crew that went under. There were a couple other companies,
Yeah,
JC Penney.
so there was, yeah, exactly. So there's pretty much from this whole pandemic, there were quite a few that went bankrupt. So like you were saying in retail, J. Crew, Neiman Marcus, JC Penney, Pier One Imports, Brooks Brothers, Lord Taylor, and all these companies, they've been around for some of them 100 and some odd years, some of them even over 200 years. And for them to pretty much close shop now is pretty crazy. Some of the fashion industries which got affected as well was, Aldo from Montreal. There was True Religion, another brand. So again, these guys couldn't weather the storm. Again, some of the biggest thing, travel and entertainment. Those things got pretty damaged, destroyed during this whole pandemic. Nobody's traveling. I don't want to say nobody's having fun, but you're not allowed to go out to congregate anymore, right? So I mean, some of the
Right.
businesses affected were Hertz, the car rental, Cirque du Soleil, Aero Mexico, Chuck E. Cheese's. That one I'm kind of not surprised at the shutdown. I'm surprised that they lasted as long as they did. Chuck E. Cheese's. I've always been
Yeah.
a bit more of the maybe hygienic person, never loved going Chuck E. Cheese's, but so again, they were one of the casualties of the pandemic. Some of the other ones were in the health industry, even surprisingly. But I mean, like Gold's Gym, they had about 700 gyms around North America shut down. GNC, the health supplement store, they had about 3,000 stores nationwide, also gone. Some of the fast food chains, yeah.
I got a bunch of stuff from GNC while they were clearing out. It was awesome.
Were they actually liquidating?
Yeah, they were liquidating like their stores. Like every GNC I went to, it's like, oh, this is like 80-90% off. It's like, sweet.
Oh, no. It's unfortunate. It's a very unfortunate situation, again, because most of their stores were inside of the malls, I believe. So that's why, with no foot traffic in the malls, it's just impossible for them to survive, especially with the rent they're paying. Some of the other food companies, industries that that got affected: Sizzlers, Ruby Tuesday, Friendly's, NPC International, which owns Pizza Hut and Wendy's. So those guys also couldn't weather the storm. And then there's even David's Tea. So again, a lot of people, a lot of companies, businesses that were super successful, that were huge before pandemic, had to shut down because of it this year.
A little bit of a contrasting view, though. I mean, this really is the free market at work, because at the end of the day, what it's showing you is that if you have a business model that is not resulting in positive cash flows, and you're living off of, other people's money or whatever it may be, your business is going to go under. Very likely you won't be able to pay your creditors and stuff. But at the end of the day, it just goes to show you the companies that weren't managed well in the first place are starting to see the result of what declining revenues do to your company.
Yeah, for sure. And again, there were a lot of companies that were working on slim, thin margins. And, in a world where there's no problems at all, in a perfect case scenario, they were able to survive and do well on working on 2, 3, 4% profit margins. But in a world with the pandemic, where the cost of everything has gone up, the cost of employee, cost of running the business, sanitation of everything, that's gone up also, and your sales have gone down. Pretty much, it's an impossible situation they put themselves in to be successful. So it's very unfortunate, and hopefully there's a lot of we kind of learn from the situation, and when we're planning future businesses and ideas, we always make sure we have sufficient cushion just in case to weather any bad storms like this.
Exactly. Like I think some of the retailers I know that have been able to flip this around was actually David's Tea. They closed a bunch of their retail stores, but they started doing a more wholesale sort of focused business online. Okay. So they kind of were able to sort of switch it up a little bit so that they could reorganize rather than necessarily going bankrupt. And I believe Aritzia was also a good clothing retailer, as one that went from a retail / online model to now being mostly focused on online now.
So definitely more and more businesses are focusing online now, right? So I mean, anybody who is not online, you're pretty much a laggard, and I don't know how you're getting your sales out there. So that's why with online wise, those are some of the companies that have been flourishing the most. So some clear obvious winners: Zoom, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Disney's. All these guys have been doing fantastic during this quarantine, lockdown, pandemic era. Some other companies or products, again, with business, it really just has to do with if you're at the right place at the right time. Because some of the other companies that are doing really well right now are home training companies or equipment like Peloton, any companies that are selling weights, dumbbells, any athletic gear. Those products are always out of stock. So a lot of times I'm trying to look for these products to bring home, also weights and dumbbells and different things, and they're always sold out because right now everybody is stuck at home, and you can either pick up a bag of chips or you can pick up a dumbbell. So it seems like a lot of people are picking up dumbbells right now. It's not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing at all, which makes me wonder how viable the gym model will be coming out of the pandemic.
Personally, I train a lot myself. I'm not in a rush to go back to the gym anytime soon, just because ever since I've been training at home now, I've realized how convenient it is. Pretty much, I train with my trainer on Zoom at 7 a.m. I'll wake up, I'll quickly get ready, I'll hop on at 7. At 8 o'clock, I'm done. I hop in the shower. I'm back at home. I'm at home. I get on the computer to start working right away. So again, I think the whole gym aspect it might be one of those half and half things. meaning
Mhm.
half the people can't wait to go back because they can't wait to use all these machines and be around all these people. And there's the other half that will never go back or is not enticed to go back for a nice little while because there's no reason to, because you can get just as much of, you can get a very good training at home without all the machines also.
Yeah, which unfortunately, it just sounds like that that the gyms will have to contend with some sort of decline. As to how much of a decline they will have, we don't know yet. But I think one of the kind of sad things that comes out of this is that people are going to start losing their jobs, and it's not necessarily going to be a quick, if any, recovery for some of these sectors, which basically means that there's a lot of people out there who are unemployed with time on their hands. And unfortunately, with that sort of combination, you are also vulnerable, I would say, to a lot of predatory businesses that might come and try to sell you on a dream. For example, you can make lots of money doing this or doing that, and let me show you, blah blah blah.
Absolutely.
So
So,
yeah.
I mean, with this whole pandemic, what else I've noticed is that there have been a whole bunch of, I don't want to say fake ads or like pyramid schemes and different things that's been going on online right now. Some pump and dump, some of the crazy thing like which we mentioned before was the whole GME and AMC, all those stocks, how that's kind of skyrocketed and now going down, back down. Today it's down like 50%, I think it is. And then
Yeah.
again, there's a lot of people who are, they need money. They're out of work. They're out of a job. They still have their rent to pay, their bills to pay. So they're kind of trying to look for a way to have an income. Again, no fault of theirs by any means at all. It's just a lot of these ads are pretty much say, hey, click on this. I can teach you how to make $2,000 a week. I can teach you how to do this, and you can be like me and make $10,000 a month. So I think there's a lot more of these scams or pyramid schemes, you want to call it, that are out there targeting vulnerable people that are in need of money right now. So it's a very, very shitty situation also, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Canada Anti-Fraud organization that sort of looks into these scams basically published their report already about their biggest scams in 2020. And the number one scam out there is actually romance scams, which
And
scammed about
I can see,
18.5 million.
I can see why there's been so many people that have been scammed from romance. Again, during this time when you're stuck at home, you're very lonely, you're just chatting away with people, and you fall in love with someone online, send me some money, and boom, right there, it's you lose 18.5 million apparently in Canada so far in 2020.
Yeah. And then the one right after that, of course, is investment fraud, your make money quick kind of people. So I think one of the biggest ones they were talking about was crypto trading. So crypto trading's like with some sketchy dude on Facebook kind of things like, here, let me send you money and I can turn $500 to $5,000. Look, and keep sending me more money. And then after, when you try to get your $80,000 out, obviously you won't get any of that money back, I think now you're starting to see actually romance and investment fraud sort of intertwine now,
Yeah.
and to almost become like a super scam, you could say.
So pretty much
Just
again,
yeah.
what is it with all of this? It just, try to be smart with your money. Don't just give it to anybody. I know times are tough and you want to try to find a way to earn more money, but just be very diligent. And if it sounds too good to be true, honestly, it usually is. Again, and that's how these predators prey on victims, looking for anybody who's really in need of help. That's the worst part. They're looking for the most in need of help people that they're preying on.
Yeah, unfortunately, by you being vulnerable makes you a larger target to some of these people to exploit you. So at the end of the day, the only way you can sort of protect yourself is really to do your own due diligence. And like David said, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. I mean, to even know that if you were ever to get involved in an investment of some sort, like just know there are regulatory requirements for some of these people. Like you can't just give your money to someone and have them invest for you thinking like you're going to get a return. Like these have to be licensed dealers and brokers that are selling you investments. If someone, says, hey, send me Bitcoin for X, Y, and Z, at the end of the day, if you don't know who you're sending money to, like, just think about that for a second before you actually do it. So there's a lot of like things that you can do, but obviously it relies on you doing your due diligence. So like another big thing out there that a lot of people don't know about is actually with Interact e-transfers here in Canada, which is a very, very common way for people to send money around to people. And I'll give you an example. So in December alone, December 2020, 77 million transactions went through the Interact e-transfer system. And what a lot of people don't know is that there's usually vulnerabilities that come with stuff like this. So if you are receiving Interact e-transfers, obviously protect your email, because at the end of the day, what hackers will do is they will try to go into your email account and redirect some of these Interact e-transfers to their own accounts. So I think there have been about 3 million in losses so far of intercepted Interact e-transfers. I don't know
That's
if you knew
so
that.
unfortunate for people to have lost $3 million through these Interact transactions that have been scams. It's, again, especially during December too, on top of that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like a time when people are in need. Like a lot of people don't know these things. They just think Interact e-transfer is like an easy way to send money around, but there are, security issues that you really think about. Like you probably would have heard of a story where people are getting their Interact e-transfer payments reversed by the banks. So what some people will do is like, they'll sell something on Craigslist, and then they will pay you in an Interact e-transfer, but then they'll call their bank saying, hey, it was a fraudulent payment. And at the end of the day, you already sold your product, and now you're getting money pulled back from the bank saying, oh, this was a fraudulent payment, right? So one of the ways around this is obviously to not necessarily use Interact e-transfers with people you don't know. So a lot of people don't know that.
It's again, honestly, it's very, makes a lot of sense. Again, I feel like sometimes we are too easy to trust people, and especially during a time right now, we just have to be, again, I'm all about being kind, being helpful, being, there for people, but sometimes you just have to also be very cautious and mindful of who it is that you're talking to, and if it's actually them, because again, during this time, I have heard of other people who have had their emails hacked, or they've had certain things happen in their company where emails got changed and they received payment from a different customer when they weren't supposed to. So a whole bunch of stuff that's going on like that right now. So again, just be very extra cautious and mindful, because there are a lot more people who are trying to get into your email or have you send them money pretending to be somebody else. So again, people are losing money right now. It's so unfortunate.
Yeah. One of the big things you can do is protect your email. So just enable two-factor authentication and make sure it's not SMS text-based. That's pretty much how you can protect yourself against most of these people trying to hack your emails.
And you know what? So with all this bad stuff that's been going on with COVID and how it's been so negative and how it's been so shitty, there have been some good stuff that's come out of it for people, for some small businesses, or even, again, like for big businesses. It's just a matter of, again, how you're positioned during this whole pandemic, and what you plan to do with it, and how you take it, and how you use that energy you have when you're at home now during this whole lockdown and quarantine.
Yeah, I mean, COVID isn't all bad, like we always hear about in the news. If you're watching the news, like everything sounds bad, So one of the things that you should really do as like a mental exercise is just look at all the positive outcomes that have really come out of this, because I was able to take my time back and be able to use it to better myself in some way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even for me also, I mean, during this whole pandemic, as weird of a situation as it was for me and for everybody else, I'm sure, I try to always look at on the brighter side. What can I do to make this better? How can I make this happier? How can I spend a bit more time with my kids, my wife now, and I'm more active going outside with my family again, or just even taking care of my own health. That's one of the biggest thing, or cooking at home. That's one of the things we've been doing a lot more now, cooking at home. So that's definitely helped our health, our cooking skills. It's made my wife and I bonded closer. It's made me and the kids bond closer as well. So there's a lot of good stuff that did come out of this. It's just different from what it was before. But again, not bad by any means. It's a different type of good.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like for every bad story you hear about COVID, there's going to be a good one out there. Like, for example, we're going to be talking to Hungry Diana on our next episode, where she was basically able to turn the unfortunate job loss due to COVID into an opportunity for herself.
Yeah, so to add a bit of context to this, Hungry Diana, or Diana Nguyen, or the queen, dumpling queen.
Dumpling queen, yeah.
She's my younger sister. So a little short story on her. She was working at Via Rail, lost her job there because of the pandemic. Then she got rehired again to work for 3 weeks, and then they let her go again, or she quit. And pretty much she started her own business, selling dumplings it's been almost a year now, and she's been doing it. She's been loving it. She's been doing it with her husband now also. And again, for her, it's been a blessing in disguise. So all to say, there is some good stuff that can come out of COVID, and it all comes back down to, what are you gonna do when you're in a tough situation? Are you gonna fold, or are you gonna lean in and push forward and try to see what you can do with the situation?
Exactly. So we'll be glad to, tell you more about the positive outcomes and share more of those stories, of the pandemic and how it's sort of changed your life in some way. We're also looking out for other businesses, other entrepreneurs, and people who have stories that they want to tell on our podcast. Just like before, just contact us on our social media handles. You can go to knowyourpotential.com. You'll get the links to all of our social handles.
Perfect. And again, you know how to reach us. If there's anything, don't hesitate. Don't be shy. Contact us. We love hearing from you guys all the time.
Yes, and thanks for listening, and thanks for participating in the giveaway. Congratulations again to Curly Hair Fabio.
Congratulations, buddy. Take care, guys.
All right. See you.